And I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew exactly how to go about doing it if I could find the personnel. Now, the idea of Led Zeppelin 1 that I had was that there was going to be a guitar tour de force. However, it was not going to be at the expense of the other musicians, so everyone was going to be featured, and the group character, if you like, the fusion of the musicians, was going to be representative of each of the individuals. And then I'd seen John Bonham play. I felt him play, actually. It was quite an experience. And he was playing with a musician called Tim Rose, who wrote Morning Dew. I think he might have written Hey Joe as well, Jimi Hendrix did. So and John Paul Jones heard I was getting a band together and called me up and said, I hear you're putting a band together, would you consider me on bass? And I said, okay, marvellous, because I played with him in the studios in various sessions. Robert had a short time when he played with John Bonham, but John Bonham was off and, playing around and starting to make a name for himself outside of Birmingham. And we had this one rehearsal in a small rehearsal room, not as large as this room even. And
but did you know right away when you started out that this is going to be something extraordinary?
Yes, from the very first, we knew that there was so much power, even from the first song that we actually got together and played together. It was like, wow, that was, by the end of it, by the end of this, whatever it was, 5 minutes that we just played, it was like, well, this is phenomenal.
We all knew instinctively from that point that we'd never felt anything like that before, because it was four musical equals with this sort of communion, and from that point, I got everybody to come to my house and we started rehearsing. You can have one virtuoso musician in a band, or you can have a superb singer in another band, but it sort of functions all right around that. But you get four musicians who are really, really, I mean, the top, the creme de la creme, and that even that isn't necessarily going to work if they play together. We've seen that with a lot of supergroups. It didn't work. We had the ability to be able to play together and play together really well. So with the four of us, it took on a fifth element, which is what you hear. I had a vision of what I wanted to do with the band, with the music of it. It was certainly going to be. It was going to have sort of blues to it. It was going to have rock to it, and there was going to be sort of more eclectic taste to it too. I mean, for example, "Babe, I'm going to leave you," things like that. Things that, for example, the way that I planned that out was like no one else had ever done anything like that before. It was a very inspired time for all of us at the time that we were living in the Headley Grange as a residence, eating, sleeping, making music. That's what we were doing day after day after day. And it sort of tells when you hear the fourth album. But, Stairway is a sort of byproduct of it, of all of that. But, it's obviously been quite substantial as a milestone for Led Zeppelin. But when we came together as Led Zeppelin, even though it's a vehicle that I was aspiring towards, the fact that fate determined that these four musicians come together in a very, very short time, and they're all inspired by each other. Because on that first album of Led Zeppelin, I didn't play anything in that sort of realm beforehand, that were just about getting to the point where they were playing whole sides of albums. I realised that if you had an album that had each track almost setting up, as you listen to one track, it would set up the second track, because there would be such a diversity upon the album of different styles and different moods that it would capture people's imagination when they listened to it. And now we had the vehicle with the FM radio to be able to do that. So